day, travelers, and welcome to the Come and Go Tavern. My name is Sheela Ornthalis, and I'll be your hostess this afternoon. Today's kitchen special is meat pockets. That is like essentially ground beef in cream cheese. We add a little bit of, today I want to say we've added a little bit of grape jelly, all wrapped in a flaky biscuit dough. Absolutely delicious in my opinion. It's one of my favorite foods. But anyway, it looks like Alexia is currently available for a full service package as well, if you know what I mean. But if you see anything or anyone else on the menu that you're interested in, just let me know and we'll see what we can do. It is time for our 6th TTRPG Tuesday. Continuing with work on Protodrive, today will be all about iterative world building. But, you know, I'll be open to answer any questions you have about this game, or TTRPGs in general. Plus, it's just nice to co-work sometimes, so feel free to join in with your own projects too. As always, I will also be available for comments, questions, and concerns about the tavern, as well as regular old conversation, so don't be afraid to fill that chat with discussion. Let's go ahead and get that started up. And let's head on over to the, well, wait a minute, hang on, what? Why is that not? Hang on a second. I may need to relaunch one of my, my programs real quick here, because the audio is coming out of my main monitor, not my... There it goes. Okay, let's head on over. There we go. Something I'm realizing is that I should have a thicker outer border for these tables. Not the interior lines, but just the outer borders. So let's actually go back up to the top and kind of hit every table along the way. So let's specifically hit is 1.5 enough, or should we go 2.25? I'm gonna try 1. No, I have a feeling it's not going to be a big enough difference next to the thinner lines. Although I may be happily surprised once I actually get to a real... what am I looking at? Table instead of just an optional rules box. Okay. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Ah, beans. Hello, caster. Hello, hello, hello. Right now I am futzing around with like line weight, because I only want to mess with the exterior lines. No worries. I only just started, so you're just good. Setting up your tablet took up a hot second. Hey, fair enough, fair enough. What are you working on today? Oh, you know what? Let's... Can I... No, there's not a zoom option. Dang it. What if I want to do the whole thing, though? By the by, if you have never heard the soundtrack we're listening to right now, this is from Zokubokuro no Taiyo. It's the second Boktai game, and hopefully you can hear exactly the fuck why I was obsessed with building a TTRPG based on it. Because, oh my goodness, listen to this soundtrack. Inking Lyra, gotta get this artwork done so you can get printed in time for the con season in November. Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Wild West GBA sound font. That's exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is, because most of the series was on GBA. Whoop, and we immediately jump into fucking Chroma Squad. Jesus. Yeah. Alright, I'm probably not going to do the rest of the tables in the book on stream because this is being extremely tedious. But I do want to see what line weight I should be using. Okay. Because I think that's the one that's going to look best versus... Yeah, that's not enough of a difference. So 2.25 points is, in fact, the superior external line weight. Okay, cool. Cool. Because yeah, as you can see, there are a lot of tables in this book, so I'm going to come back and finish the rest of those later. Because that's boring, and... yeah. Let's get to our iterative world building. I will, however... Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's in the original Lancer book. I think I'm clear to put this on screen. So, this is the original Lancer core book, and this is their section about iterative world building. As I was talking about last time, since we are not doing like a whole galaxy of planets, you really only need to build one world most of the time. It does not make sense for me to have the full 20 worlds of like, or 20 basic world types. So I think going down to 10 for our purposes is going to be enough. Let's see, they've got 5 for barren, temperate and lush, temperate and fertile, temperate and dry, just temperate in general, temperate with a healthy climate, inhospitable. Okay, so we don't really need to do anything that's inhospitable necessarily. There's the geometric features. Okay, so what's going to be interesting for Proto Drive? So I like the idea of having... Well, obviously I want to do, like, at least one temperate world, right? But also, like, I do like the idea of having a barren world. But the no atmosphere makes 0 sense. So how they're describing barren may not be what I'm looking for here. Temperate. So most of it's going to be temperate. Inhospitable. Okay, inhospitable feels a little bit better. Ocean world's a good one. Okay. So we're going to have at least one temperate. Inhospitable. Ocean world. I guess these are different types of city biome with racing environments in Proto Drive, a Monaco versus a desert. So, okay, I'm trying not to necessarily limit people in what the range of their actions are. Like, this could just be like, oh, we only do this in one prefecture of Japan, or we only race in Monaco. Or this could be a worldwide racing team. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to kind of give people in this iterative world building. Because like, okay, so world types. That's just going to be kind of like your general world. Is this, is this something with like varied locations? Does this have some temperate zones, some desert zones, stuff like that? Is this an ocean world? Or is this like a giant like mono environment kind of a thing? So let's see. Varied. So if I can come up with one, like a fifth style. Ooh, or I could do 4 of them be varied, you know? Oh, I just had an idea. Hang on a second. Sorry, I'm gonna do some changes to my no, not application audio capture, not display capture. Game capture, maybe? No, I guess it would be window capture. Hang on, I'm gonna do a quick live change. Specifically because like I want to add in something real quick. Where did it go? Oh, that's not what I wanted. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Nope. There we go. And then can I put this? Sorry, I'm adding a display for what songs are playing. Is it better to have it down there or up there? Yeah. Except it appears not to have updated when the song changed. At least I don't think it did. Alrighty. Let me just do that, and there we go. That should now be live. Excellent. We'll find out if it actually updates the title when the song next changes. I may have to try to do that in a different way. Okay, so back on task, instead of getting completely distracted by yeah, exactly, because that way it's just kind of hanging out down there in the corner, and I can just kind of glance over and be like, oh yes, it's this song from this soundtrack if you want to check out the artist, because I have a lot of different game soundtracks I remembered. And yeah, so okay, what I'm thinking is we may do 4 different varied environments. An ocean world, an ice world, a couple of different kinds of inhospitable. And a couple of different kinds of world, or temperates. So that way that most of this table is... Yep, nope, it did not update. Dang it, okay. Alright, I'm gonna try something else then. Where did you go? Where did you go? Trash that. We're gonna try it as a game capture instead. Because game capture tends to be more dynamic, you know? Capture a specific window. Let's do that. Here we go. That's not working though. Okay, well. Oh well. I tried. I'll figure that out off stream. That's fine. It's a neat idea. I'll have to play with it though. Anyway, this essentially makes it so that 6 out of the 10 world types are going to be like fairly comfortable places that you don't necessarily need to worry too terribly much about. And then plus there are like weather type stuff anyway in the difficulties, or not difficulties, in the not conditions. What did I end up calling them? Why don't I say it started with a C? Because it's not complications. There we go. I have written so much book, y'all. There is so much book. Okay. Because yeah, then we have like defining natural features, defining civic features, and then environments. Although maybe that means because we're not dealing necessarily with okay. So I've got two options here. I can either leave in the world types thing and just be like, okay, here's the general world. But then if you roll something out of character for the environment types, that's an interesting moment of world building for the GM to deal with. Like, okay, let's say we're on an ocean world or something, and then you get down to the environment type, and the environment type you find is desert. Okay, how does a desert happen on an ocean world? What is the meaning of this? Like, is this the only place that people live? Is everybody living in eternal 1980s Miami in kind of a beach strip with a little bit of jungle along the edge of this gigantic desert on one of the caps or something? You know what? I've talked myself into it. I'm leaving both. Okay, so. Okay. This also makes me want to structure this a little bit differently from how Lancer has, because Lancer pretty much just gives you these first two sort of paragraphs and then gives you the 4 tables and says, okay, go for it. I feel like I should have some level of description before each table just to kind of like define what it's trying to do, you know? Okay. Broad idea of what looks like. Most of the options are environments, are fairly normal ecosystems. Some of them lean toward things that are more extreme. So I think that in inhospitable post-apocalyptic words, inhospitable post-apocalyptic and varied post-apocalyptic can both exist in the same table. I'll be adding more description to them, of course, but let's see. Temperate, temporary. Go temperate, advanced, inhospitable, Ocean World and Ice World. I suppose I could make those inhospitable as well. Okay, but we need one more for varied, I think. So contemporary would be like modern day stuff, anywhere from like the 80s up through the, well, now, 2025. Advanced would be like, oh, we have a space age civilization kind of thing. Think Appleseed. Or maybe even, yeah, no, Appleseed is a little more advanced. I was going to say, or Ghost in the Shell, but Ghost in the Shell feels more contemporary plus. It's 5 minutes into the future kind of a thing, you know? And then post-apocalyptic feels like, okay, this is a world, like, this is the Earth we're familiar with, but larger societies have collapsed. Ooh, thank you very much for the coin toss, Coleman. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's see. What would... Ooh. We could do post-social apocalypse. Post-apocalyptic environmental apocalypse. And I think... Oh, thank you very much for the actual size as well. Midnight wanted to pop in and say hi before bed. Fair enough, fair enough. How much further did you get on painting? I'll do social and environmental for this one. Reshaped world. With natural environment. Captains are all touched up now. Tech Marine's about 30% painted. Nice. Like, when you were talking about that one gunmetal paint, I was just like, oh, I have been there, where you're just like, oh, the exact paint I need. Please, please, please do not be dried out. Suddenly reminded of this anime in terms of period piece racing. Oh, now we gotta take a look. Ooh! Ooh, how did this escape my notice? Okay, I'm gonna be looking that up a little bit more later. Hang on, let me move that to a different window real quick. That's cool as hell! Alright, move that over there. Where did my chat bubble go? There did my chat go. Okay, cool. Okay. Alright, so now that I've got, like, each of these kind of, like, described, that also breaks them down into just those three categories. So we've got temperate, we've got inhospitable, and we've got varied. So temperate means, like, in this case, we're looking at something that is like, oh, the whole world is this nice temperate living place. Inhospitable would be a variety of like, oh, world done fucked up kind of thing. And varied is, well, it's the normal variety of environments that we normally think about. So let's go back and look at the actual description. The world types table can help create the basic, broad idea of what the campaign world looks like. Most of the options are fairly normal ecosystems, but some of them lean towards things that are more extreme. This doesn't mean that the entire world is exactly as described here.
It was a lie when they said money can't buy happiness. Can't help but smile every time I'm stacking it. Every once in a while I want to freeze what's happening.
But that this is the predominant I don't want to say type of environment because we've got an environment table later on. Oh, okay, so is the predominant type of terrain doesn't make sense either. The options are fairly normal ecosystems. Some of them lean towards things that are more extreme. This doesn't mean that the entire world is exactly as described here, but that this is the dominant I guess I could go with ooh, biome. That's great. Thank you. Biome. Present on the predominant biome. No, let's just, just I'll get rid of the word present. This is the predominant biome. In fact, if the result from this table and the environment I'm going to call it the local environment. Here in this section, page, what that? Add it later. Later. See, excuse you, that is not a link. That is not a link. Get that out of there. Seem to be at odds. And I'll bring that up again when we get down into the local environment table. And I like that. I like local environment as opposed to just environments because, like, this gives a specific feel, you know? Ooh, and actually, let's in fact move that up. Oh, that's not what I... undo. Hey, what? No. Don't just want to take the text. Ugh. Give me whole table. There we go. Okay. Local environment. Is what characters experience on a day-to-day basis. This helps to shape kinds of courses. The local X should be combine the other tables in this section. What the local track should be, what kind of weather. Is common. How people feel about the local And even local styles. Clothing. We should probably be... Combined with the other tables in this section, this helps to shape what kinds of courses... Oh, hello?
Have you seen any random rodents recently?
No. Were you messing around with the mice again?
No.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, give me just a second. I'm gonna finish up this paragraph. Just chase down as many as you can. Get a count on who's still in the colony. I'll help you figure it out, okay? Okay, so... Oh, I also just noticed that this did not justify as it was supposed to. So the local environment is what the characters experience on a day-to-day basis. Combined with the other tables in this section, I feel like this part of the description doesn't really help. Like, this feels like it should be up in this more than down there. The second part of the section shows off examples of worlds that might take... or even a thing after this. Put this over here. When combined, these tables help shape what kinds of courses most of the local tracks should be, what kind of weather is common, and even local styles of architecture, clothing, and vehicles. Okay, that feels like its own thing that we'll come back to later. I'm gonna step away from this for a few minutes, and we'll come back, and yeah, we'll come back to this. I'm gonna run a commercial while we're away, so you don't have to sit around and watch it if you don't want to, but, you know, hey, helps us keep streaming, and we'll be back very soon. Alrighty.
The St. Louis Blues.
Okay. So I may have figured out a solution, as you can see. It's not a great solution because this only displays the album art. Nope, that's too much information. But, you know, hey, it is what it is, right? Okay, so, welcome back. And I am also glad to see that the away timer is now also properly randomizing which links go up in chat. So that's fun. Okay. So let's take this sentence out of here and actually put it in the local environment paragraph. Results on this tape. Result rolled from this table and the world types table. Oop. Let's get rid of this. Doesn't seem to be necessary since they're back to back. Seem to be at odds. This can often create interesting storytelling opportunities. Okay, so let's go and look at our example from the Lancer universe again. So everything looks to be a basic description and then an additional little twist on something for the world type. So temperate, this is going to be gentle mountains and forests. Society. Society and technology are fairly in line with that of the contemporary world. "5 minutes into the future, but not super advanced. But not... Not the stuff of far-flung science fiction. temperate. A once varied world whose environments have been evened out thanks to the wonders of technology. Okay. You know what? Why am I quibbling over this? Because my idea of an advanced society is one wherein, you know, interpersonal struggles are much simpler to resolve through like non-violent means and all of that sort of stuff. So like, I'm just gonna go with that because that's kind of like the utopian dream of this game anyway. Is that like, oh yeah, no, we like those hot-headed teenagers, they don't get in fights, they don't like start throwing slurs at each other, they get on the fucking road, race it out, and go and shake hands at the end, you know? So how do I describe that in a pithy way? Okay, at the very least I need to like commission a dancing animation for myself because like, yeah, the fucking Crypt of the Necrodancer shopkeeper over here is just doing a techno serenade. Oh. I adore we solve all our problems by an incredibly specific hobby. Listen, if I could live in the world where that worked, yes, please. You know? And like that's always kind of the point of like things like Initial D or Redline and things like that anyway, right? You know? Like in Redline, they explicitly have like this one group that is like hyper military and they're like, we have to destroy the race because no one's taking us seriously anymore. And then the racers are like, ciao, and just nyong. I know I'm packaging a much more complex story into like a smaller thing, but hey, wait a minute. Why is that in front of my model? Ooh. Maybe if yep, there it goes. Okay, cool. Ba, 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 ba. Are advanced enough. Advanced enough that all needs are taken care of. Leaving people to enjoy lives of leisure. There we go. That feels right for this one because I feel like a world that has been terraformed to be completely temperate, like you can literally go anywhere and be anything and still be safe and, you know, secure and all that sort of thing. Like that's what that society feels like to me. That's the shape of that world to my mind. Okay. So let's alphabetize this just for the sake of my own brain. Ba, 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 ba. World encompassing desert. And like, I'm also really resisting the urge to get like more poetic with this because like that's not what I'm here to do, you know? Yeah. Inhospitable, a world-encompassing desert. Society functions, but only thanks to the technology. You're gonna have one table that's poetically phrased to give interpretation wiggle. Oh well, like that's the thing. This is all just suggestions. This is all like just things that get you started in thinking about it. You know, the problem is if I start getting too poetic, I'm gonna start cramming too much description into this table, and that kind of goes against the point of the table. Honestly, I might even need to bump this table down onto the next page anyway. Just leave this whole space blank for an image to be jammed in later. Society functions, but only thanks to technology that makes water harvesting possible. Inhospitable. Rigid. I don't want to say wind swept because that implies that all of the terrain is flat. Wind chilled? No, that's. I'm trying to evoke that like clawing feeling that icy winds put into you, like where it almost feels like if you get hit by a sudden gale of really icy wind. Is there not a piece of art for this one? Anyway. Like it feels like icy wind is actually like going to shred at your face, kind of a thing, or any other skin that's exposed. But wind claw doesn't really feel good there. Frigid. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Frigid ice world. Glaciers. And tundras. Okay, that works. I feel good there. I feel good there. Life is only possible by huddling together. In warmth. Small clusters of society, making those who traverse spaces between heroes. Okay, I gotta work the technology angle into this description somewhere. Small clusters of society, making those who traverse the spaces between heroes. Because I've had both a society and a technology angle in the last couple. Well, no, not necessarily. I've had it in 2 of them. Society functions, but only thanks to the water harvesters that work day and night. Keep people from drying out. Life is only possible by huddling together for warmth. Huddling together for warmth. Small cities and towns. Where's the spaces between trade? And those who traverse the spaces between for trade into heroes. Okay. Okay, that feels good. Inhospitable. Ocean world. Swallowed by storms and water. I'm going to move this section. Terms of society and technology. There we go. Oh my goodness, this is from Inscription? You think you know a game? I have listened to the soundtrack over and over. I guess this one just... I'm usually so lulled by the time I get to this track. Late game, that you think so many of your favorite games of all time. Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I didn't get... I don't think I got as far as you because I got distracted by life, capital LTM. Oh, there's a lamp over there. I can't gesticulate wildly. What? No. But yes, oh my goodness. I do agree with what you mentioned in a recent stream about how it gets a little bit... I'm gonna use the term esoteric and be kind with its like altered reality and like meta narrative. but the primary narrative is incredibly solid. Okay, so an ocean world swallowed by storms and water. Oh, speaking of that recent stream, oh. Self-sufficient cities. Instead of going to bed, you went and found footage of the tail stages. Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay, so I gotta know what's up with that. Like, it was one of those things where, like, they line up for fuck's sake. Of course they do. Of course they do. Like, it's a whole fucking thing, isn't it? Like, it's... The first time that Raffi was running through that section, I kept noticing the tails and going, okay, these are a lot more prominent than the way that, like, we've seen some of the, like, extra environmental stuff before. These have to, like, but I forgot to bring it up the first time they were running through them. And then the second time they were running through, and I noticed that outer kind of, like, design looked very, very much like a cobra. I was like, okay, there's got to be something here. And then I saw a couple of, like, very sideways comments about, like, hey, pay attention to the direction the tail is going. And I went, oh shit, I meant to say something, and here we are. Oh, I can't wait to figure that out. That said, if that Mioans one, I want it to mean something, but it may simply be like a keystone to let you know that that is a rule that does not apply here, that, like, not every tablet is going to be read in the same direction. You know? I don't know. It's that... Ugh. Void Stranger is a whole fucking thing. Like, it is an absolutely glorious thing to experience and, like, dig deeper into the mysteries of what's going on in the game. But yeah. Also, unfortunately, the kind of gameplay that frustrates me fairly quickly, like, I'm okay at it, but, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there is a certain point at which this is... it's that bubble bobble. Like, classic bubble bobble thing. For real. Next step is to see if you can get those pieces to sit in a 6x6 monstrous work. Ooh. I mean, that shouldn't be too terrible. Because that's just, like, essentially setting a grid up for yourself in whatever your drawing program of choice is, and plopping them in there. Like, honestly, if I still had access to AutoCAD, which I might, I would probably just, you know, CAD out, like, a 6x6 grid with lines and then import the images and plop them in there. But I'm sure you could do something fairly similar in a drawing program. Even if you started off as, like, loose boxes and then kind of scoot them all together as you get the shape of things. Okay, so I do have to ask, what brought you to the idea of a 6x6 grid? Oh, wait, nope, hang on. Because the tablets are 6x6 grids, aren't they? Yep, like, it's one of those, like, as soon as I asked it, I thought back on the shape of the tablet and went, wait a minute. Doi. Okay, inhospitable. An ocean world swallowed by storms and waters. Floating self-sufficient cities link themselves together. With suspended highways. In the hopes I feel like there should be a second clause in this sentence. Floating self-sufficient cities link themselves together in highway or with suspended highways. In the hopes one another survive. No, because it shouldn't be in the hopes of. Prairie's need for trade. Also, amusement parks does brave enough speed along over the waves. Yeah, see, this is kind of what I mean about like me getting poetic, because like I have an idea in mind for I don't know why. I never do ocean worlds in TTRPGs, but for whatever reason, like this is the one that I have the clearest idea of just like these gigantic floating bubble cities that have extremely advanced technology that you know, kind of have like a vast spiderwebbing network of highways around the entire oceanic world, some of which are covered, some of which are uncovered, making the idea of racing on these roadways just the most dangerous possible. Like, you might think that, oh, the ice world is scary. You might think that, oh, well, what happens if you get lost in one of those temperate zones outside of society? But no, it's the idea of like, oh, okay, we're in an uncovered floating highway. What happens if someone crashes? What happens if someone jumps the bunker at the side and just goes off into the ocean 40 feet below? Or if it's a covered highway, if it's essentially just a tunnel tube, what happens when one person has an like just monstrously large crash? You've now blocked the entirety of the tunnel and created a fireball that quickly expands to encompass. You see how this gets out of hand very quickly. This would be such a cool game to run. I say about my own fucking game. Yeah, exactly. Some real F-Zero shit. Exactly. Inhospitable, an ocean world swallowed by storms and water. Floating self-sufficient cities link themselves together with suspended highways. And submerged tunnels. Together via a spider's web, suspended highways and submerged tunnels. You gotta be stoked for that. I mean, I got, like, that's the reason I'm writing this, is like, my friend and I had an idea while working a show and could not stop talking about it for the entire rest of the run of that show, and here we are, you know? Which reminds me, I should bother Will and see if he's got art done. Ooh! Okay, I see what you're doing there. Ooh, that is going to be a monster to organize, isn't it? Sorry, I just saw the message you sent me, Caster, and woof, that is going to be a beast. That is absolutely going to be a beast. Inhospitable, post-apocalyptic. World destroyed by the ant. Destroyed by the ant. Like, Ancestors is the first one. It's the first turn that pops into mind for me, but it carries a lot of connotations that I don't feel I deserve to use, if that makes sense. Destroyed by previous generations. How about that? Yes. Okay, I like that. That feels better. That feels a lot better. This is kind of the Mad Max world, is how I'm thinking of this one. Where, like, certain areas have water, certain areas still have arable land, but, like, and there are, like, remnants of the world that was, but it's not a functioning global society anymore. Global society collapsed. Took the environment with it, leaving behind sickness, violence, and seemingly enough technology keep drivers on the road forever. Always scrambling for the next tank of gas. Inhospitable, a post-apocalyptic world destroyed by previous generations. Global society collapsed and took the environment with it, leaving behind sickness, violence, and seemingly enough... I'm gonna take out that word. Just because, like, hey, if we're going for the action movie trope, let's go. And enough technology to keep drivers on the road forever, but always scrambling for the next tank of gas. Varied. Contemporary. World. The variety of environments. In the Goldilocks zone of its star and an axial belt of, what is it, 23.3 degrees or something like that? $23.4. 3.4 degrees. This is contemporary modern Earth. With all its I don't want to say glories. All of its joys and miseries. There we go. Varied. A world with a wide... yeah, because I don't want to say variety again. With a multitude of environments. Sitting in the Goldilocks zone of its home star and an axial tilt of 23.4 degrees. This is contemporary modern Earth, with all its joys and miseries. Varied. A perfectly balanced planet. Plenty of... Not plenty, plenty. What the heck? Plenty of natural spaces. Perfectly balanced planet with artificially shaped nature. What in the world are we listening to now? Oh, okay, this is the Crystal Chronicles OST. Again, why didn't it populate that part? Huh.
Hey, hun. Can I borrow you for a second?
Yeah, you can borrow me anytime you like, stud.
Ha,
All right. Yeah, give me just a second. I'll be happy to help with whatever you need. I want to finish up this description, though. Okay, so varied. A perfectly balanced planet with artificially shaped nature. Thanks to radical advancements in technology, society is now gathered together and tight. Oh, tight's the wrong word here. Inefficient. That still feels bad. I'm trying to think of, like, okay, basically we did the thing where we actually properly urbanized and, like, everybody went from being super spread out as they are in the United States to very closely clustered together and much more vertical, and essentially turned the planet into a more natural, well-balanced version of itself. Clustered, okay, yeah. Much more tightly clustered together in glittering vertical cities. Allowing the reclamation of the natural world around them. There we go. Okay. Carefully stacked. Okay. I'll take another crack at this when we come back from the commercial. But I don't want to leave that going for too long because I don't want that timer to go to like hit 0. But yeah, we'll definitely be back to that. All right. Talk to y'all soon. All right, B. So what was it that you actually needed?
St. Louis Blues.
Alrighty, we are finally back. Sorry about the ad weirdness. That was supposed to go off about 5 seconds after I switched over to the away screen, and then it just, I guess, didn't. That's cool. I love it when Twitch's ad systems are busted. But hello, Lost Trait. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you're having a great day. Today I am working on the TTRPG Proto Drive. We are introducing like GM section to the book. We've got the player section fully out and available for people already. That can be found at I want to say it was just TTRPG. Was that it? There we go. Over at dracoalexander.itch.io. It's a fairly complex system, but we have done our work to like streamline it and make it fairly easy to run. Okay, so Protodrive is a Lancer-based system. It uses the Massive Press license to essentially create an entirely new system based around car racing. So like think Initial D, Fast and the Furious, that sort of a thing. But if you don't know who I am in particular, welcome to the Come and Go Tavern. My name is Sheela Ornithalis, and I'll be your hostess this afternoon. Tuesdays are, for this sort of a thing, TTRPG work. Fridays are Final Fantasy XIV MSQ, currently working my way through Dawn Trail. And Saturdays are for a variety of tactics games, with first and third Saturdays being the Lamplighters League currently, and the second and fourth Saturdays being Cosplay Club. And fifth Saturdays are kind of just a game du jour. Okay. So, in particular, the thing that I'm working on right this second, and I'm coming back to, is in the GM section, we're looking at iterative world building, basically just giving people, like, okay, if you're not sure what kind of world you want to play in, here are some tables you can roll on to help decide. And right now we're almost done with it. We're at a varied, perfectly balanced planet with artificially shaped nature. Thanks to radical advancements in technology, and I did do a little bit of adjusting for the wording on this if you were here before the break, but, you know, are going, hey, that doesn't look the same. Thanks to radical advancements in technology, society is much more tightly gathered in glittering vertical cities, allowing much of the world to be returned to its natural state. Okay, that feels good. That feels like it encompasses the idea that I was trying to get across of like, we got like, okay, so if where was the 5 minutes into the future one? If if the first, or if the result 3 through 4 is Ghost in the Shell, where it's 5 minutes into the future, or if this is kind of your Ghost in the Shell, this one is Appleseed, where like we've gone, okay, hey, let's get everybody gathered together. None of that suburban sprawl nonsense. There will still be like rural stuff that does exist because hey, we got to grow things somewhere, we got to do all this sort of stuff. But it's all still much more interconnected, and it allows us to kind of both naturally let the world go back to being what it normally is without our influence, as well as for us to kind of like artificially nudge it into a more balanced state. So like this is a sci-fi world. And then we've got 2 more here. So varied post-apocalyptic. And so we've actually got 2 post-apocalypses here. We've got both a social post-apocalypse and an environmental post-apocalypse, which I'm hoping to give very different flavors to. So a social post-apocalypse, essentially, this is kind of, again, a 5 minutes into the future thing where like global society has kind of broken down, but people are still kind of going about their day-to-day lives. Like nothing much changes in your local city, in your local town, all that sort of stuff. It just becomes a little harder to get certain things. So people are making stuff last a lot longer. People are repairing a lot more stuff. I was definitely a huge fan of sci-fi and subgenres of it, like cyberpunk. Yeah, absolutely. And that was a question that I had people ask about this game of like, because the basic version of the game doesn't include the GM section, so it just kind of leaves what world it's existing in up to the imagination entirely. So here I'm trying to explain like, okay, here are all these different things that you can do with this. I consistently imagine this to be at least what would be described in literary terms as 5 minutes into the future, where the world is still fairly recognizable, but certain advancements have happened. Like all of the cars can use all of the parts. Like everything is interchangeable. I imagine this personally as a world where war doesn't exist anymore. But again, that's my version of the world. The entire point of this part of the GM section is to give people the latitude to make it whatever they want to. Yeah, so like I said, my version is not so distant into the future. It's things have advanced a bit and made the world a better place, but we're not looking at like true sci-fi stuff. But as I was talking about before, this system has a lot of opportunities to go to real sci-fi places. Like, as much as like I am enjoying writing this, probably the one that I had the most fun writing was the section for an ocean world. An inhospitable ocean world swallowed by storms and water. Floating self-sufficient bubble cities are connected together via a spider's web of suspended highways and submerged tunnels. Because just thinking about the wild amounts of danger that introduces into the racing circuit of these worlds is just such a fun thought experiment. Like I was talking earlier about like, okay, if you're on the suspended highways, if you go over the edge, you are dropping 40 feet into a roiling ocean below, like that's incredibly dangerous. There's a lot of drama for that. And if you're going in the submerged tunnels, it's like, what happens if one person has a major crash? Do you have a full-blown setting including canon lore, or is it a system-agnostic core rulebook? So it's definitely not system-agnostic. No, this rulebook is very much a system. Oh, hello, Osiris. Thank you very much for the coin toss. So, like I said, I'm trying not to be one of those designers that goes, oh, hey, here is the canon. I have my canon. I have the world that I've run my games in, but nobody should feel beholden to it. I will be describing that world later on in the book, but realistically, I don't expect people to use the exact same world. I am gonna, since this is based on Lancer's core concept, whereas from the outside, Lancer looks like it has a really specific, canon world, there's actually only a few things that are canon to the Lancer universe. Like the company names, some major players involved, so like SecCom, ThirdCom, but even those are malleable for the GM. You own Lancer, it's fantastic. Oh, well then you'd be right at home in this system. Because this, as I said before, uses the massive press license to essentially rebuild Lancer into something that's 100% about street racing. So we removed combat portions of it, but if you know how to build a mech in Lancer, you know how to build a car in Proto Drive. But the struggle is real. It's such a fan of players cementing their own world, but you know the market likes a preset lore to build from. Exactly. So yeah, while I'm working hard to make this world building section an interesting thing to use, I am also going to present like, okay, here is. I'm not going to call it a default or a canon setting. I'm going to use the term default setting, because like if you don't have anything else to work with, here is something you can just default to. And I will use my world that I've run these games in as our default setting. And hopefully that will help people not feel like they have to use that one. It's just, oh, if you're just running it straight out of the book, here's a setting you can use, you know. Oh, thank you for the welcome, Neon. I thought your initial response was from like a Twitch bot. Welcome me. No. Caster is a good friend of the channel, somebody who I've worked with, and was actually one of the people who got me into streaming in the first place. Also does a lot of fantastic TTRPG work, both as somebody who runs actual plays and makes their own TTRPGs. Hang on, let me give them a shout out. Oh, it's going to be a prick if I don't do this right. Shout out the Neon Master. There you go. Okay, cool. Okay, so what kind? Where is your lane as far as TTRPGs go? Which is why you enjoy others' create process. Fair enough. Fair enough. This is one of many TTRPGs I've made at this point. This is certainly the most complex one that I've released so far, with probably Cactus Quest being the simplest one. I want to say at one point Cactus Quest was like 2 pages if it was completely stripped down. But I've done a bunch of other stuff. The most... Let's see. The most recent release is So That Others May Live, which is... a game all about search and rescue teams. That one is very much setting agnostic. We get like, that one was designed with 0 setting in mind. We give example settings in the back of the book of like, oh, here's like little 250 to 500 word blurbs about like, here's a setting you could run this in. But those came from like multiple writers, multiple inspirations, all that sort of stuff. And the cool gimmick about So That Others May Live is that it doesn't measure its dice rolls as like, oh, a 4+ success or a 5+ success. It measures in terms of 4- failures, i.e., when you go up against something, you roll as many dice as the difficulty rating for whatever you're going up against. And for every failure, you have to answer a question from your character's build, essentially. All players are then in charge of making their own lives more difficult and helping drive the story forward. It doesn't use HP. It is meant for maximum levels of drama, and I should really talk to you, Caster, about running a session of So That Others May Live, because I really want to run that game on stream for people. Like, it's a very, very fun system. My partner and I are in the home stretch of our science fiction game. It's similar to that of Shadowrun in some aspects without the fantasy races, but there's a type of magic system it can be explained with science. Fair enough, fair enough. That's cool. Do you have, like, are you building your own core mechanics out, or are you working off of a previous license, or like Caltrop Core, which is just a game engine, that sort of a thing? Teaching players that can be okay, even fun to fail is an important development for folks. Exactly. Built your mechanics from the ground up. Very cool. That's exciting. But yeah, So That Others May Live is very much an experiment in teaching people that failure can be fun, because I don't know, like it's that game system is very close to my heart. Of course, with influences from the games you love. Of course. You can't get away from that. Like, that's just a built-in part of creativity. Like, we all steal ideas from each other and then create something new out of them. We amalgamate what has come before into something new and interesting from our perspective. Failures are learning opportunities. Yes, exactly. So, as I was saying, like, so that others may live, Stomel, I'm just gonna contractualize it. Contract it down to its acronym. Stomel is very close to my heart because I grew up in a place that was consistently, yearly ravaged by hurricanes and other natural disasters. Like, when I tell you the kind of natural disasters I encountered in one place within like 2 counties of the same area. Yeah, Florida. Yeah, exactly. So Florida has to deal with hurricanes. We had to deal with tornadoes. We had to deal with wildfires. We had to deal with flooding. We had to deal with sinkholes. We had to deal with a couple of earthquakes. Why does anybody live there? something, everything is derivative of something else, exactly. Call it in one, exactly. Yeah, so, thunder capital, or I should say lightning capital of the world. Like, so, all those retirees. Oh, yeah. Although that made my life easier to a certain extent because, like, I grew up as part of the theatrical community, and having a crowd full of Q-tips meant that you were going to have consistently full houses all the time. You forgot about the earthquakes, didn't you, Osiris? Yeah, that was an interesting moment. Like, I was working a show, and like we were doing the most recent one. We were doing a lighting focus, and we were like, why are the intelligent movers jiggling so much? And then we went, like, all of everyone's phones lit up with like earthquake warning. We're like, excuse me? Oh, Florida truly is the Florida of existence. There's a reason why it has its name. And it has its reputation, you know? Anywho, I'm gonna try and bring my focus back in. Oh, you grew up in California. Okay, so yeah. You've had your fair share of natural disasters then. Earthquake, do you mean underground thunderstorm? Oh yeah, lots of earthquakes. Like, I've had a bunch of weird jobs over the years, and like, I was an apprentice picture framer for like 6 months, 8 months, something like that. And I distinctly remember us doing a framing job for somebody who was taking a bunch of art from a local festival back to their home in California, and we had to like check what regulations were for picture framing and things like that out there, because there are like, honest to goodness, like, you can't put glass in there, you have to use a specific type of fasteners. You were there with the big one back in the 90s. Ooh. Yeah, I lived through a couple of similarly big hurricanes. Like, the earliest one that I remember was Hurricane Andrew, but then in like mid to late aughts, there was like a string of like 4 Category 3+ hurricanes right back to back to back to back. And honestly, as bad as Andrew was, that string of hurricanes actually hit us harder, because whereas Andrew was one big, huge storm, yeah, exactly, Osiris. You remember that summer too, where we had like, there were only one of them I think was a sustained Category 4, but there was like no time for recovery between those 4 hurricanes, and that meant that like every time we got hit, it just got worse. Yeah, it was a bad fucking summer. Because we're talking 2-3 months of just storm after storm after storm. Lost power for 2 weeks after one of them. Woof. Yeah, nope, don't. Yeah. I currently live in the Village of Hope, in the northeastern part of the continent of Vania. I.e., I'm not going to dox myself that close, but I am in the Midwest now, shall we say? Oh yeah, at one point, everybody just stopped picking up the trees. Yeah, yeah, full trees, not branches. Just, oh my goodness, yeah. Like, and then we had droughts for like years after that, and like a bunch of the lakes dried up because of the loss of trees. We kept getting like dirt and stuff sliding down into what had once been lakes and flattening areas out, and then the environment is a cascade. You know, when one thing goes wrong, a bunch of other things go wrong in a row. Okay, so varied, a perfectly balanced plant with artificially shaped nature, makes a radical. Oh, we already finished this one. Okay, so varied, post-apocalypse. So, this is a social apocalypse. So the actual environment is fairly contemporary, but like this is one of those lakes that had one of those weird walking fish, and we found some all the way up at your house 5 blocks away. Listen, those fish were thirsty. You know, they just needed somewhere to go. Anywho, protodrive. Yeah, exactly, right? Okay. Let's see. World of... Okay, so this one's not the environmental apocalypse. Let me write that one first, because that's the one that's actually, like, in the front of my brain. Yeah, there's nothing of value in Florida. Not honestly. Shrinking forests. Growing deserts. Crawling urban sprawl. Not urbane, urban. Growing deserts. Thawing ice caps. And crawling urban sprawl. Okay. World is dying. Everyone knows it. Nobody with power is doing anything about it. The youth turn. What pastime? Society is kept in check with bread and circuses, even as they choke on the ever-present smog. And tasteless free food. Let's see, we go with what is the tasteless food? There we go. That's so believable and relatable. Why would those in power do anything to fix it? Oh, listen, bud. Oof. Oofa doofa. Like, that's a whole thing, you know? But this is also one of the apocalypse worlds. You know, we are close to this sort of thing in certain parts of reality, but we're not there yet. Okay, so this is the one that's a social apocalypse. Varied. Nature has begun to reclaim places between places. Getting a little bit poetic with this one, because it's the idea that like society has broken down. Society at large has broken down. But people remain. Tight-knit groups. But not much changed. At the local level. Okay, I probably should change this, but I don't think I'm going to change it how GDocs wants me to change it. Oh wow, what a breakneck change from Wandering Swords to, oh my goodness, it's made by Heart Machine. What's the name of it? Hyperlight Drifter. It's between places. Society at large has broken down, but not much has changed at the local level. Just noticed you have the cover art on the screen. Yeah, that's something I tried to implement for this week's stream. I wish I could get the title on there as well, but I did what I did live, and so we'll see if I can figure out how to do that after stream. So right now it's just the art, because I desperately want people to actually like go and play these games, or even just at least get the soundtracks, because for me soundtracks are probably one of the most important parts of a game. Like if it has a soundtrack that really draws me in, I am absolutely going to be hooked. And if you can like just like engage all of my senses, like a certain Paradise Killer does, then I will become like the biggest fan and like proselytizer for your game. No, this is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. For whatever reason, the art for this one doesn't want to load. I need to go check and see about that, but yeah. Oh, he lost the topic. No. I was talking about like how music like is one of the biggest things that actually like pulls me into a game, and so like I have picked up a lot of video game soundtracks across the years. Stay forever here in paradise. Yep, exactly. And oh my goodness, Caster, like I don't know how to express the feeling of nostalgia that Paradise Killer gave me, because oh, favorite Paradise Killer. Okay, gotcha. So there is the normal nostalgia of Vaporwave, and that hits as hard for everyone, especially of a certain generation. You suppose Florida is not a paradise for you. And that, well, I mean, to be fair, that's kind of the point of Paradise Killer, is that what appears to be paradise is in fact not. But like Paradise Killer gave me nostalgias for places that I have fleeting memories of from when I was very small, because the first few years of my life were spent in Miami and West Palm Beach and those areas, but not the rich parts of those areas. Again, grew up in the theatrical environment, so money was not exactly a thing. So especially when I hit the like above ground apartment zone in the island, in the instance of Paradise Killer, I got hit straight in the face with just like, oh, I feel like I recognize that fence line, that just atrociously tiny little back patio area that felt enormous as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you know? Like this was the outside. This is the whole world that I can see beyond this fence line. But then looking at it as an adult and you realize it's less than 5 square feet. And yet the landlord is upcharging because like, oh, this has a patio. Oh, this has a balcony. And it's barely deep enough for one adult to take like 3 steps back and forth across, you know? And like, it was just such a weird, visceral experience to walk into that and go, oh yeah, no. Then this is less than a 5-minute walk away from some of the most gorgeous architecture with the most expensive places to live on the planet at the time. Wow, that it's a UK team, but the visuals are so American. The whole area felt so unreal as a Brit. And yet it feels all too real as someone who like had a couple of years to experience that. It's such a good design. And there was a whole AMA and a subthread within that AMA by the design team about how they designed the actual island and the fact that it is actually 1-to-1 scale. And that those apartments are actually considered the good apartments to live in for most of the people on the island. Most people live in that underground area in the factory that we never got to explore. So like when I found that out, I was like, oh my goodness, like that is just astonishingly well thought out and detailed. So yeah. There's a reason that like once I actually dedicated the time and the mind space to playing that game for real, that like it instantly became just something that I did not want to shut up about, but I made myself be like, okay, everybody else has played this years ago. I'm just gonna see who's still interested in talking about it now. On that note though, they also captured the exact feeling of classic Yakuza films with Promise Mascot Agency in a fantastic way. And if you have not yet played Promise Mascot Agency, do yourself a favor and do so. It hits very differently than Paradise Killer did. And if you haven't played Paradise Killer, for that matter, play Paradise Killer. I'm not going to say anything else about the plot because you owe it to yourself. I will give you that it is one of the most well-executed eldritch horror pieces of media in, quite frankly, the last 40 years. You loved me letting me play Promise Mascot Agency. It was such a fun time, wasn't it? Like, it's so weird. You wouldn't think like, oh, we're gonna do a gritty old school Yakuza film about someone running a silly mascot agency. Why would that work? Why did that work? I have no idea why it worked, but it worked 100%. So much fun. So weird. Weird fun. Exactly, Osiris. Exactly. Okay, let's at least see if we can get this this table finished by the next break. We've got a few minutes here. A world where nature has begun to reclaim the places between places. Society at large has broken down, but not much changed at the Oka level. No, you're fine. You are 100% fine. Like, that is completely fine. I am tickled pink to actually have people to talk to, and like these are always fun conversations. I wonder if the dev team spent a bunch of time in the US. I don't think so. I think they just, like, this dev team just seems to be really, really good at doing their research and at creating believable spaces to be in. Paradise Killer, send one guy to jail for 15 crimes because he was rude to you if you can feel like it. Yeah, exactly. That guy is an asshole. And it's not even just regular jail, it's like super jail, because like someone figured out how much time Lady Love Eyes spent in the like jail that the immortals get sent to because they're immortal and you can't really kill them, and it was something like 4,000 years or some nonsense. Okay. Society at large has broken down, but not much changed at the local level. Honestly, you know what? Honestly, That might be the description on that one. Because like the idea there is that like, okay, so just to give an example, if like let's say the United States broke down, let's say. At that point, it's, oh yeah, no, I live in Orlando. You know, if I was still in Florida, like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's Orlando and Tampa are who I hold my fealty to. You know, like, I leave Orlando, there's not really much going on. Like, everybody has kind of gathered together because, you know, there's no federal government anymore, there's no, like, international thing, like, states don't really exist anymore. That's kind of the point of this world. Like, stuff still gets made, society still broadly exists, but it's much less owing fealty to a country and much more local level stuff. So it's still an apocalypse, kind of, but not very many people died for it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just the world works differently now. Let me redo this a little bit. Civilization failed, and nature has begun to reclaim the places between places. Society still exists. But countries don't. Not much changed at the local level. Outside of your home.
I hate to interrupt your stream, my little flower.
No,
but
you're
there's
fine.
a customer issue out front.
Oh, little issue, big issue, like, what are we dealing with here?
Just the former.
Okay, that's good. Give me just a moment, and I'll be right with you. Not much changed at the local level, but stepping outside of your home city might come... Taste of danger. Stepping outside your home city. Not leaving your home city. Invites trouble. No. Hoo, ha, he, hoo, ha, hum. Not much change at the local level. Leaving your home city. I don't want to say invites trouble, because that feels icky. Side of danger. Not comes, now comes. With a new... I'm not 100% convinced on this one. We'll take another crack at this after the break. Okay, I'm gonna go to a 5-minute break. We'll run a commercial. Hopefully Twitch's ad system will play nice this time, so we can be back in 5 minutes as I expected. Stand up, stretch, do all that good stuff. We'll be back soon. Alright, hun, so was it like a price issue, or was it like a hair mousse soup? Is something not available? What is it? Okay, we are back. So, varied, a world where globalization failed and nature has begun to reclaim the places between places. Society still exists, but countries don't. Not much changed at the local level, but leaving your home city now comes with a side of danger. I don't know, this last clause of the sentence just doesn't feel complete, you know? Side danger that wasn't there before. Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. Let me come back to this and kind of revisit it. So let's take a read over what we've accomplished so far today. Get rid of that. The world types table can help create the basic, broad idea of what the campaign world looks like. Most of the options are fairly normal ecosystems, but some of them lean towards things that are more extreme. This doesn't mean that the entire world is exactly as described here, but that this is the predominant biome and social structure. Temperate, a world of gentle mountains and forests. Fairly in line with the contemporary world in terms of society and technology. 5 minutes into the future, but not the stuff of far-flung science fiction. Like, the idea that this one is that, like, you know, there's just tons and tons of places you can go to. I really don't... Like, I don't feel like there's a necessity for much more information there, right? Like, I don't need to talk about rivers or like, anything like oceans or anything like that. Thank you very much, Osiris. Still playing with those. I appreciate it. Temperate, a once varied world whose environments have been evened out thanks to the wonders of technology. Society and technology are advanced enough that all needs are taken care of, leaving people to enjoy lives of leisure. Inhospitable, a world encompassing desert. Society functions, but only thanks to the water harvesters that work day and night to keep the people from drying out. Connections between settlements are hard made and hard to make and harder to control. I like the idea that this world, like, every once in a while, okay, we're gonna race for control of this stretch of territory, kind of a thing. Inhospitable, a frigid ice world of glaciers and tundras. Life is only possible by huddling together for warmth in small cities and towns, turning those who traverse the spaces between into heroes. Traverse the spaces between to keep the supplies flowing into heroes. There we go. That feels a little bit better. Inhospitable, an ocean world swallowed by storms and water. Floating self-sufficient bubble cities are connected together via a spider's web of suspended highways and submerged tunnels. I'm going to get rid of the self-sufficient part because that gives a reason for them to be connected. And if we get... oh no, bubbles... okay. Floating bubble cities are connected together. Something missing from this. Floating bubble cities are connected together via a spider's web of suspended highways and submerged tunnels. Might be Crashing waves. I'm getting a little poetic here, but I feel like this one should be like here. Okay, society is very focused on maintaining the environments, the enclosed environments, the cities, to make sure that they don't get sunk or things like that. Crashing waves and constant lightning in a struggle for survival? So, inhospitable, an ocean world swallowed by storms and water, floating bubble cities connected together via spiders' web with suspended highways and submerged tunnels, fight the crashing waves and constant lightning in a struggle for survival. Yeah, that feels good. Inhospitable, a post-apocalyptic world destroyed by previous generations. Global society collapsed and took the environment with it, leaving behind sickness, violence, and enough technology to keep drivers on the road forever, but always scrambling for the next tank of gas. Okay, this one is very much our Mad Max world, Varied, a world of a multitude of environments sitting in a Goldilocks zone of its home star with an axial tilt of 23.4 degrees. This is contemporary modern Earth, with all its joys and miseries. Varied, a perfectly balanced planet with artificially shaped nature. Thanks to radical advancements in technology, society is much more tightly gathered in glittering vertical cities, allowing much of the world to be returned to its natural state. Varied, a world where globalization failed, and nature has begun to reclaim the places between places. Society still exists, but countries don't. Not much changed at the local level, but leaving your home city now comes with a side of danger that wasn't there before. Varied, a world of shrinking forest, growing deserts, thawing ice caps, and crawling urban sprawl. The world is dying, everyone knows it, nobody with power is doing anything about it. Society is kept in check with bread and circuses, even as they choke on the ever-present smog and tasteless food. Alright, so that is all of our world types put together. I do think I'm going to add... We'll drop that down. Put that in the middle. Make that bold. Art here. Art hair? Yes, art of bunnies and hares and jackalopes and those things. And then we do that, and then I'm going to insert a page break. Boop! There we go. Hey, that fits perfectly! Love it! Love it! Okay. Up next, the local environment is what the characters experience on a day-to-day basis. If the result rolled from this table and the world type table seem to be at odds, this can often create interesting storytelling opportunities. Cool beans. I get rid of that line. There we go. Okay. Ooh, one of the Baroque soundtracks. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Yeah, instantly recognized Golden Sun. Oh my god. Okay, I don't remember. Was I on a... No, because this was before we started using Discord. My favorite game development conference moment I have ever seen was... I forget what year it was, but it was an E3 conference where Nintendo was doing their thing. And they went through the normal spate of developments and like reveals and here's all this stuff. And they straight up were leaving the stage. Like, the show was over. They were playing themselves out with the normal, like, Nintendo music at the time. This was back in the Wii and DS days. And the last guy gets to the edge of the stage and turns back and goes, Oh yeah, one more thing. And the Golden Sun melody, like main theme swells, and the crowd fucking lost their mind. And that was the reveal for Golden Sun Dark Age. And oh my god, seeing that live, like, the person I was talking to at the time, I was like, no, they did it. Oh, it was so good. It was so fucking good. And then reading later that, like, Golden Sun Dark Age was the storyline they were originally trying to tell. And then there kept being more information about the world. Oh my god, it should have been so much more popular. Like, because that was supposed to be the original story they wanted to tell, right? And then they kept creating more lore and more lore and more things that they needed to explain. And then they were like, okay, so we need to roll this back to the previous generation so that we can talk about how the world became what it is. And then they kept making more game and more game and more game. And it eventually went from like, oh, okay, so this can't be an N64 game anymore. We have to move to the new generation. And the Game Boy Advance cartridges definitely fit more than a Nintendo 64 does as far as information goes, but also they can't fit the entirety of our plotline. So we ended up with 2 games that were still prequels to the original story that was supposed to be told, and then Golden Sun Dark Age still only got to take the chance to tell half the story it wanted to tell. I am shaking in my chair going, please release the last one. I need to play the rest of this story. But as far as like popularity of the games is concerned, Camelot, like all 3 of those games were massive labors of love by the dev team. They did not get funding. Like, they did not get external funding for any of them. They all were funded off of working on other people's projects and doing their best and scrimping and saving. We'll be back in a bit. Virtual doctor's appointment. Hey, fair enough. Get your care, bud. And like essentially the dev team doing like 3 or 4 other projects and then going, okay, we've saved enough money. Let's focus on Golden Sun for a little while and like this major story that we've wanted to tell since the beginning. Because if I recall correctly, the story was the company was started by 2 brothers, specifically because of the fact that they had this massive story they wanted to tell. I need them to release the 4th part. Like, okay, legit, I have all the respect in the world for Hollow Knight fans. I'm so glad you all got Hornet's story finally. I need y'all to understand how long I have been waiting for the 4th part of Golden Sun. We're at more than 10 years at this point. Alright, anyway, what soundtrack are we listening to right now? Oh, this is Shadowrun Return soundtrack. I know this one has album art. What the hell? Ugh, also, you want to talk about game series that deserve better. The Shadowrun games by Harebrained Schemes. I know for a fact they were working on another one. You feel a bit bad while you enjoy Golden Sun when it released. When it came to the story, my kid thoughts were, hey, Kraden, shut up. Yes. I was also mentally in the same place. I get it. There were parts of that story that definitely went on, that stretched out a little bit much. But also, going back to them as adults, I'm just like, oh no. Like, it's so much easier to see things coming, and the tale becomes so much more tragic, you know? Because, like, as a kid, when you don't know the tropes that are involved here, when you're not as deep in fantasy lore and all that sort of fun stuff, everything just feels very, like, you know, it feels fresh and it feels surprising. And then going back and playing Golden Sun as an adult, and you're just like, oh no. Oh, the signs were there from the opening scene of what was going to happen. How did we miss it? How did we miss it? And yeah, it just, oh. Oh my goodness. And here's another game that, like, when I first played through it, I missed a bunch of tropes, and then going back, I'm like, how did I miss that? Baten Kaitos. Like, again, we knew where this, you should have known where the story was going right from the opening scenes. And yet, here you get to the end of the game, and it's like, oh my god. Of course this is how it turned out. Okay, so the local environment is what the characters experience on a day-to-day basis. If the result rolled from this table and the world table seem to be at odds, this can often create interesting storytelling opportunities. Hi, Liu.jpg. Yeah, exactly. Doctor's running a bit behind, so you have a few minutes. Hey, fair enough. I was genuinely shocked after moving that I was able to get in to see a doctor so quickly. It's strange to live in a real society. Florida. I don't really feel like... Yeah, it's so nice, isn't it? Yeah. Like, no joke, I got an appointment same day. I was like, hey, wait a minute, you don't need me to come back in like 2 months? No, we can see you at 5. Huh? I don't know. It feels like there should be more to this explanation, but... day-to-day basis... Local environment is what the characters experience on a day-to-day basis. What? Place they live in is like. I don't know. Is that sentence extraneous? Do I even need that? Yeah, it probably is. Oh my goodness, another one of the shopkeep things. Ah, this is the third world. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this one then. The paragraph feels a little bit short, but it's allowed to be a little short. Okay, so local environment. So rural. Do at least 3 of those. Suburban. Urban. There's a term that I want to use, but I'm fairly certain it's copywritten by Games Workshop, and that is Hive City. Okay, I'm gonna go with super urban. So we'll do 3 rurals, 3 suburbans. Ooh, actually, let's only do 2 suburbans. Three urban. And 2 super urbans. Cluster city instead of hive? I don't know, like, super feels like the opposite prefix to sub. I mean, I could also go dom urban. No, we'll go with super urban. Because it's like subsonic, sonic, and supersonic, you know. Super urban conveys the point very well. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like one of these is going to be Gross Judge Dredd. I live in verse urban cities. Yes. But yeah, I feel like one of these is going to be like a Judge Dredd, like sort of place, and the other one is going to be very Appleseed, like glittering city sort of thing. Okay, so rural. Let's think of a few different rural environments. So, actually, we may need to go 4 rural and 1 suburban. Because, like, the whole point of suburban environments is that, like, they are very uniform. So, rural, flatlands, countryside, farmlands, countryside, oh, what's that area where, off to your appointment for real. Fair enough, fair enough. Thank you very much for the hydration, though. I'll take 2 sips of my water. And then also one of my caffeine drink. My beverage. So, rural communities. Tundra is another one. But the one I was thinking of before, and I don't have a word for it, is that area that's not quite yet desert, but like you can see the desert a mile away, kind of a thing. Okay, I need to check if Outback is a specific to that style environmental term. Because, like, that is exactly the kind of area that I'm thinking of. The Outback is more remote than the bush. English vernacular of Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. Largely synonymous with hinterlands and backwoods. Ooh, I'm about to just dive straight down a whole wiki walk, aren't I? German word. Okay, hinterlands means a German word meaning the land of men or the land behind a city, a port, or similar. Its use in English was first documented. Okay, alright. For the doctrine of the hinterland, hinterland is the inland region lying behind a port and is claimed by the state that owns the coast. Okay, okay, backwoods is definitely getting added in here. I'm gonna get rid of flatlands and farmlands. Well, no, I don't want to keep adding more rural stuff, you know, because right now, just under half of the chart is rural. I'll probably get rid of Tundra. Oof. Oh my goodness, this part of the Inscription soundtrack hits hard as hell. While often visaged as being arid, the outback regions extended northern to southern Australian coastlines. Comes a number of climatic zones. Grimiest sub-base. Exactly. Like, ugh. Okay, Caster. When we were doing some audio testing for some of the equipment with the company I worked with until recently, I use this song to test like all of our levels, and it's not even a rumble, it was a grumble that sent through my chest. Oh, it was so good. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, Outback is not giving me the type of environments I'm looking for. Environment type, where deserts meet arable land. Like, it's the liminal space right before you get into a desert. Semi-arid land. Okay, what's that called? Steppes. Okay. That's what it is. Okay, there it is. Just had to wiki walk far enough and ask enough questions. Steppes. Okay. There we go. There we go. So, suburban. Suburban? I'm tempted. I'm real tempted. I'm real fucking tempted. Okay, hang on. Where is this? There we go. Oh, I just realized I've been looking, like, I need to rearrange my model real quick. Default position. Sorry, I went from standing desk position to sitting during the last break, and I never recentered my model, so I've just been like, what? Everything is up? Yeah. Okay. So let's see, suburban. I'm just gonna put sprawl right now, because this is obviously just a smaller chunk of what we'll eventually be describing. So urban, industrial, urban, let's see. Where's my chair caught on? Okay, so we're realistically looking at economic types. So urban, industrial, service, economy, and university, actually. I think that works for this system because of the fact that, like, most street racing is predominantly done by younger people, so kind of an urban, and like urban university environments are particular. Like, they have some special stuff going on. You're gonna have a lot more clubs. You're gonna have a lot more, quite frankly, bad drivers. There's going to be much more nightlife. There are going to be smaller shops and things like that, as well as like research institutions, versus a service economy is going to be like your more downtown areas, much more offices, banks, that sort of thing, tighter streets, all that goodness. And industrial stuff is really wide streets, lots of factories, low-cost housing, all that sort of stuff. So those three feel good for a variety of urban environments. And super urban, okay, what was our two things here? Glittering city. Layers of grime. Okay. So, starting from the top. Rural. Flatlands. Or gentle hills full of farms of all kinds. Just full of farms. We'll leave that up. What kind of farms up to the GM, because like you might have a more classic, like, oh, here's a variety of kinds of farms. This, everybody has at least one cow. Everybody grows a variety of crops. Or it could be those like Idaho and oh, what's the one that's just a little south of there? Illinois kind of, South Illinois farms where it's like, oh, okay, you grow corn. Just corn. So much corn. If you look to your left, you'll see corn. If you look to your right, you'll see more corn. Ahead of us, corn. Behind us, corn. Inside of us, corn. In our food, corn. I don't know, I'm on a roll now. You want to race on Moo Moo Meadows, honestly. Hey, fair. Oh my goodness, if I could make this my full-time, there is absolutely a kart racing expansion I want to do for the game. And I think once we get the full book done, it'll be easier for us to like make those expansions quickly. And like the fun of the kart racing one is that like, can Cal drive the souped up drifting brand kart? Maybe in your world they can. I mean, WCMC cars were explicitly built on, like, farms and shit, so, like, maybe that's the cow that got hit by the UFO. Which, again, is kind of a weird pseudo-lore thing for this system, Okay, so flatlands or gentle hills full of farms. I'm gonna call it gentle rises. Not even full-blown hills, just where the land kind of goes up 5 feet and then down, The closest neighbors are miles apart. And the local town is really just where people go buy groceries. That feels good. That feels like a good description for the environment. Like rural flatlands or gentle rises of farm. Rural flatlands or gentle rises full of farms. The closest neighbors are miles apart, and the local town is really just where people go to buy groceries. And other supplies can't make themselves. Rural. Countryside. Covered in lush grasslands. and occasional copses of trees. Yes, of trees. Every time. Occasional has one S. Occasional has one S. Oh, we were talking about, like Castor brought up, I think it was Castor, right? This is how short my brain is, my short-term memory is sometimes. Yeah, Castor brought up wanting to drive through Moo Moo Meadows from the Mario Kart series. And I brought up the fact that one of the expansions we want to make is a kart racing expansion. Oh, which also reminds me, that expansion, we already have really silly ideas for how we want to integrate the fact that these vehicles are so much smaller. Like, they take, like, speed caps are a lot lower, damage is thus a lot lower, but also weight is, like, we're going to introduce, further negative weight categories, because it's a kart racing. And so, like, the entire idea is that, like, oh yeah, no, your control, like, you are not going to have traction whatsoever. Like, this is go-karts. So yeah, that's going to be fun. Eventually, once we get the core rulebook done and dusted, you know? And I have taken some time to work on some other TTRPG projects, because I have too many ideas. Like, just yesterday, I came up with another Lancer-derived system for Old West games. Or I shouldn't say Old West, not Old West. I don't want any of the icky parts of dealing with the actual Old West in this. I'm gonna go with Wild West. Because, like, I don't want to fucking touch the Civil War with a 20-foot pole. Fuck that nonsense. The South was on the wrong end of that, and they always have been and always will be. And I don't even want to have that discussion around my game. I just want to do cowpokes. You know? And I want there to be, like, I've already done Cactus Quest. Cactus Quest was kind of like a really cool, fun, acid western, rules light thing. I want to do something that's crunchy and lets you, like, choose the parts of your revolver and, like, pays attention to, like, oh, you put in a more powerful ammunition type? Well, you've got a bigger chance of misfiring, because shit was manufactured local by a guy who's only drunk local moonshine for the last 30 years because he believes water's gonna kill him. So yeah, good fucking luck. If it doesn't misfire, it's gonna do a lot of damage, but if it does, oh boy. But, like, that system will be intentionally comedically gritty. Like, almost to the point where I imagine if I get
inside again.
Oh no, does he still have a hold of it, or did he let it go?
It's in a jar, but Lynn's looking at it like it's candy.
Oh, nuts. Okay, yeah, keep him under control. I'm gonna not wrap things up, I've still got some more time. But I'm gonna take us to a commercial break here. So, yep, it's time for another commercial break. We're gonna take 5 minutes. I will be back soon. Whew, 2 solid hours of drawing, you gotta eat. Okay, fair enough. Have a good evening, Castor, and enjoy your meal, alright? Alright, so yeah, we'll be back in 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll be here soon. Okay, so does he still have a hold of it? Keep that lid on that jar, mister. Okay, folks. I am working on something else real quick because I had a real, an idea while I was away. So traditionally with, like, Lancer-style stuff, there's, like, 4 main companies you can buy stuff from, right? And in the original Lancer rulebook, IPSN is a shipping company, and so, like, that's what they started off as. And so, like, in the back of my head, turbo roasting hot dogs, and now you're back. Oh, yeah. You're good. But I had the idea for, like, a Pony Express style company that instead does stagecoaches instead of single horses, named Whip and Stetson instead of Smith and Wesson. You get it? For one of, like, the manufacturers in whatever nonsense this game turns into. We'll see if it works out. Again, like, this idea is so far on the back burner, but it's an idea I'm playing with right now. We'll see if it goes anywhere. Okay, rural, countryside covered in lush grasslands and occasional copses of trees. The towns and villages of this locale each have their own distinct personalities. I'm gonna sneak another chip. Because as usual, I have a can of Pringles. Reconstitute potato matter. Oh, this is one of the Boktai games. It's the very first Boktai game. This is The Count of Blood. Oh no, I popped and now I can't stop. You know, that's honestly true. So the towns and villages of this locale each have their own distinct possibilities, giving rise to the kind of friendly rivalries only possible when life is good. Everyone has what they need. Nope. Not crops, copses. Next one is rural, kind of backwoods. Hinterlands of people trying to get away from... I love this turbo roaster. Hot dogs are perfectly done in 4 minutes. Ooh. Although, I mean, the way that I make hot dogs, they're done in about 2.5 minutes, but you'd probably cringe if you heard how I did them. Actually, no, you've lived with me. You know how I did this. Yep, exploded in a microwave. Kind of sizzling in their own juices. Great. And the exploded part is very important. Like, yes, you want them to have like a little bit of pressure relief, but they should be just like the ends of them should be just absolutely blown out, you know? Rural, the kind of backwards or hinterlands where people trying to get away from society can live in peace. There are scattered groups of people, and I am trying really hard not to say hollers, because like there is a very specific type of environment that I'm thinking of, and it's Tennessee, West Virginia, those kinds of areas in the Appalachians where like there are occasionally you run through towns, but they're blinking you miss them. Actually, I'm just gonna say that. In blinking you miss them towns. The Moonshine Holler. No. Okay, so here's the thing. A holler actually is a specific thing. It is a specific type of valley, and the term comes from a hollow. So a holler is like, oh, we have built our space at the area that's just above like where flood lines and things happen, so we'll be safe-ish in disasters, but we have easy access to all of the like really great soil that is created in those sorts of spaces, as well as then the wildlife that tends to follow where good crops grow. You get small herbivores. Where small herbivores are, you get larger carnivores. So there's good hunting. There is relatively easy to grow crops. You still have to deal with the fact that it's a hill, but you know that could be worse. So yeah, a holler is actually a very specific type of environmental area. It's just you throw the accent on there, and people assume that like, oh, okay, this is just some weird kick way of saying like, you know, the local town. No. It is a very specific thing when you say that. It's great. Different strokes for different folks in very literal ways, you know? But yeah, the Appalachians the Appalachians have a lot of them because of how old they are as a mountain range. Because the Appalachians are actually the oldest mountain range on the planet. And so they have had a lot of like glacial activity and like just wearing down with time, and I have never lived in the Appalachians, but having gone through there several times, I can definitely say that there is no place like it. Like, I have traveled through there, I've done a couple of performances in that area even, and like, yeah, there's nowhere like it. There's nowhere like it. Okay, I'm gonna move this. Sounds here and there. Most people exist in scattered groups that are intensely protective of their land. And again, I am not trying to attach any sort of negative bias to that, and I hope it reads as neutral. Because that protectiveness comes from a place of not trusting the company, of not trusting that all of these rich folks have the best in mind for you. You know what I mean? Like, especially I'm thinking of like West Virginia and again, kind of Eastern Tennessee, where like so much coal mining destroyed just swaths of land, swaths of people, generations of people. And so like those who went to the backwoods were trying to get away from that. They're like, no, fuck this. We don't, like, the government's not protecting us from this. The company does not have our best interest at heart. We want to live our own lives. And so especially if they did manage to get like legal claim over a certain amount of land, they become very protective of it. And rightfully so in many cases, especially for like some of those ancestral areas. Plus, again, we're trying to seed like little interesting gameplay elements here and there, like places that you can create like just little interesting things, you know, that might suggest things about the characters. Rural steppes environment. Rural. Semi-arid steppes region. Where it's still easy enough to live. No, I'll mention that in the social portion in the back end of it. Semi-arid steppes region where desert is an ever impending threat. Hasn't quite arrived. Okay. Austerity is my watchword here. Because even in modern terms, steppes regions are tough to live in. Like, the vast majority of Mongolia's population, for instance, lives in their capital city, if I recall correctly. Is that Ulaanbaatar, or is that, am I remembering a different city? Let's see, let me check, because now that's going to sit on my mind. I mispronounced it. Ulaanbaatar. Batar. Neat. Okay. But I did remember. Roughly, anyway. My brain was in the right place. Semi-arid steppes region where the desert is an ever-impending threat, but hasn't quite arrived. I'm afraid you're the only one here who... You know what? Fair enough, fair enough. I looked it up. I checked myself. I looked it up. That's easy to do. Yeah, fair. Fair. How to describe this sort of society? Cities are possible, but austerity is always on the mind. Resources are somewhat scarce. But that could be worse. Alright, rural. A semi-arid steppes region where the desert is an ever-impending threat, but hasn't quite arrived. Cities are possible, but austerity is always on the mind. Resources are somewhat scarce, but life could be worse. Okay. It's weird to think of a rural city, but it is possible. Suburban. Sprawling, almost continuous manicured lawn snaking its way around row on row of cookie cutter housing. Well, if you go population size definition alone, there are plenty of real-world examples of rural cities. Exactly, exactly. Alright, this one I got real fucking poetic with, but I love it. People need for very little, but want for very much. I think the poetic language there first perfectly with what you're describing, or fits with what you're describing. Exactly, exactly. People need for very little, but want for very much. Youths rebel against homogeneity in search of individuality. There we go. For some reason he can't type correctly on Switch. Hey, that's fair. Youths seek individuality in a sea of homogeneity. There we go. Ooh, no. While drowning in homogeneity. There we go. And actually, I don't even have to say you, it's people. Just people seek individuality while drowning in homogeneity. There we go. Okay, cool. Cool. I love that one. That one came together beautifully. Urban. Old factories. And... oh, goodness gracious. There's another type of industrial center that I'm thinking of that, like, it's not factories. It is, like, another place where heavy work happens. Foundries. There we go. Dispersed. Cramped. Housing. Do I want to do housing or living spaces? Yeah, we'll do housing. Everyone swears they'll be the one. Get out. Make it big. And then they report the same production line. A mining operation. As their parents before them. There we go. Okay. Everyone swears they'll be the one to get out, to make it big, only to eventually report the same production line or mining operation as their parents did before them. Judged. Oh goodness gracious, how would you spell that? Okay, interesting. So I'm going to spell it the three or four different accepted ways. Those are the three different accepted ways to spell zhuzh. Yeah, it looks like it has a very complicated origin, so I'm not going to dig too much deeper into that for right now. Because if I can, I'd like to get this table. I don't like the middle one. Well, part of that comes from the fact that it may have apparently originated from whoosh. I don't think that's correct. That doesn't feel right given some of the other evidence I've looked at right there. You assumed it was French, so French maybe. Romani and or Polari are also likely. But Polari especially picks up... yeah, exactly. It doesn't feel right. But Polari specifically picks up words from all over the place. So, yeah. Either way, very much a word given to us by traveling folk. Skyscrapers. There's only one P in skyscrapers, so there would be skyscrapers. Skyscrapers. Urban, a tight, well-painted series of skyscrapers. We'll do maintained. Professionally maintained series of skyscrapers and office buildings with scant blips of nature here and there. Millions of people make the business of business happen. I was trying to be a little fun with that, but make business happen. Millions of people making business happen, dreaming of the weekends they spend living their real lives. So this is going to be a university environment. Parks, research, facilities. Housing. Distinctly the city. But balanced in the favor of intellectual pursuits. Classes, research, and a thriving nightlife. Rather than making things for money. So urban, a mix of parks, research facilities, and student housing. Distinctly the city, but balanced in favor of intellectual pursuits like classes, research, and a thriving nightlife, rather than making things or money. Rather than making trivial things like products or money. There we go. Alrighty. Super urban. Brutalist. Square columns. Rise in a grid pattern, blocking out the sky, the clouds of smoke and water vapor rise from each. Rise in a rigid grid pattern, blocking out the sky with the clouds of smoke and water vapor that rise from each. Countless poor souls inhabit each granite slab. No, each concrete box. The streets between them. Gotta run out for an air and talk to me, Toku. Okay, see you later, buddy. We're gonna be wrapping up soon anyway. I'm gonna skip this one because. Good stretch, good stretch. Okay. I almost missed that because of the song it was popping in over. Countless souls inhabit each concrete box. The streets between full of sleek vehicles that will never reach their top speeds thanks to the traffic. Sleek, sporty, okay, suburban or super urban. Brutalist square column buildings rise in a rigid grid pattern, blocking out the sky with clouds of smoke and water vapor. Clouds of smoke and water vapor that rise from each. Now I'm just going to say blocking out the sky. I'm just going to cut most of that. Countless poor souls inhabit each concrete box. And the streets between are full of sleek, sporty vehicles that will never reach their top speeds thanks to the traffic. Super urban, brutalist square column buildings rise in a rigid grid pattern, blocking out the sky with clouds of smoke and water vapor. Countless poor souls inhabit each concrete box, and the streets are each monolithic concrete box. There we go. And the streets between are full of sleek. While the streets between are full of sleek, sporty vehicles that will never reach their top speeds thanks to the traffic. The constant gridlock. And then super urban, glittering city. So this is the exact opposite. Flowing, natural, mystic lines never let the eyes settle in one place for too long. Thanks to careful planning and an egalitarian philosophy. The city enjoys the highest forms of culture and technology. About the squalor and subjugation. Once thought inevitable for such advancements. Super urban. Flowing naturalistic lines never let the eyes settle in one place for too long. Thanks to careful planning and an egalitarian philosophy, the city enjoys the highest forms of culture and technology without the squalor and subjugation once thought inevitable for such advancements. Inevitable, once thought necessary to achieve such advancements. There we go. Okay. Rural, flatlands. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say let's do our read-through of this one next time we come back to this. Because we've only got a few more minutes until I have to take us to another commercial break. So I am going to go back to the just chatting screen and find a place to send everyone off to. Alrighty. So, who all is online right now? Let's take a look for some friends of the channel, shall we? Oh, right. Okay, so... okay, basically, a lot of the people who I would normally send us off to are currently on vacation or are doing other things. So I don't actually have a good place to send you all off to. Alright, well, it happens sometimes. So I suppose I will just say, yeah. Thank you very much for stopping by, weary travelers. I hope you've enjoyed today's TTRPG Tuesday stream. I'll be back this Friday, October 3rd, to continue the main story quest of Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. For more information about future streams, keep an eye on our Blue Sky at Come and Go Tavern. You can see the URL just up above me there. And we do daily announcements, daily check-ins about what's coming up over there. In any case, I have been your hostess, Sheela Ornthalis, and if you need to prop up your feet for a little while longer, we would normally put a raid here, but I'm going to encourage you all to go and, you know what? I talked about it earlier. If you haven't seen the OVA movie / film Redline, please go do that. Check it out. It's a fantastic piece of racing media made by some really, really cool people and does some really cool, amazing things, all while using primarily traditional hand-drawn animation. So yeah, go check that out. And I will see you all next time. Ta-ta for now. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. Mwah, bye.